Good evening, everyone. We'll just wait for about 30 seconds or so and wait for the masses to register. Hope everyone's had a cracking day, at least an 8 out of 10. Quick thanks to our sponsors, Atlas Brokers, Matt Atkins does a great job, Shelley Wood from Splice Communications, and the great Brett Phillips from the only tennis show in this country called The First Serve. Goes Australia-wide, and he does a huge amount for us. So a massive thanks to BP, Matt and Shelley. We'll give it a little bit longer. Really looking forward to tonight. And he's a great mate. We haven't known each other that long, but a really good man. He's got a really good story tonight. I'm really looking forward to diving deep with Andy tonight. All right, here we go. All right, welcome to Mate to Mate today. My name is Craig Turton. I'm your host each and every week because no one wants this job, and I do, and I love doing this show. I really do. I'm the proud co-founder of 100 Words Mate to Mate. We are a men's health organisation raising awareness about the plight of men's health in this country, which is absolutely horrendous. More than 7 men every day take their own life in this country. It's an horrendous figure. The biggest killer of men between the age of 16 and 44 is themselves. Okay, so at Mate to Mate at 8 and 100 Words Mate to Mate, we have come up with this foundation, and we have come up with this idea of every night or every morning at 8 o'clock, we want you to ring your mate at 8, just like we're about to do now. Okay, and so what we want you to ask is this: instead of saying "G'day mate, how you going?" it's "G'day mate, how's your day been out of 10?" Or how's your week been out of 10? Now, we're asking you how your day's been out of 10. The poll's just come up on the screen. So fill that out and we'll go through that in a little bit. So tonight, all we are trying to do here at Mate to Mate is mirror a conversation between two mates. I've rung a mate of mine tonight. I'm about to ask him how his day's been out of 10, and we're going to have a great conversation. Now, at any stage tonight, if the conversation gets a bit too heavy for you and you feel uncomfortable, there is always a number to call. That number is 131114. That's the number for Lifeline. We hope you don't need it, but if at any stage you do, please give that number a call. Now, we've got a truckload of people jump on. Now, we've got people that are filled out the poll. There are 10 out of 10, 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, 3s, and 2s. Those people who are 3 to 2, get a pen. Write this number down. 0412310788. That is my number. After the show, give me a call and we'll have a chat. Okay, hopefully by the end of tonight, you've been inspired by the great man Andy Millar, and you'll feel a bit better. If not, you've got that number. Give me a call later on tonight. Okay, now, as I say each and every week, okay, I'm a tradesman. I'm a painter. See, there's the proof all over me. I haven't had time to have a shower tonight. Okay, so I'm not a doctor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, but I am here to help. Okay, that's what we're trying to do here at 100 Words Mate to Mate. Now, tonight, really, really excited. I've only known this great man for about, I think it's about 18 months now. He is an absolute cracker. He's someone that he just cares about other people, and that's what drew me to him. We are a part of the Balwyn Greythorn Football Club. He's from Greythorn, I'm from Balwyn, and the club amalgamated at the start of last year. He's a great man, okay? He had a stellar football career, so he tells me, an absolute stellar career, got plenty of 3 voters. Now, I've come across a lot of guys, and no one gives more to other people than this man. And I'm going to say hello to Andy. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Toots.
Now, my producer has rung me during the day and given me some information that I was not aware of. Apparently, you've sent in a rider. You've sent in a rider for tonight, mate. I've interviewed Melbourne Cup winning jockeys. I've interviewed tennis stars who have played Davis Cup for this country. I've interviewed footballers, but no one has sent in a rider. This is the rider. I, Andy, would like 3 bottles of Evian that have been bottled in the last 2 weeks. I, Andy, would like Craig to mention my football career. Done. I, Andy, would like 500 grams of white M&Ms and 500 grams of black M&Ms. What the hell is that about?
Magpies. Keep going.
Thanks. I, Andy, would like some Just for Men hair colour. You've obviously got that. That's good. And used it beautifully. Mate, in all seriousness, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
Andy Millar, how was your day out of 10, my dear friend?
Mate, I actually answered for the first time in a long time. I gave it a 9. Now, I'd rehearsed that. I was going to do a COVID 7 because we're all in a bit of a hole at the moment. But We just pushed them through. So I'm at a 9 today, and the first time I've said 9 for a long time.
Good, man. And that's the reason we got you on, mate, because there was a while back there that they weren't 9s at all. And we're going to touch on that. Now, mate, tell the people watching a little bit about Andy Millar.
Oh, look! Ultimately, I'm a husband and father. I think the reality is that's our number one job, to be honest with you. But for the last probably 20 years or so, I've sort of mucked around as a salesman. I've done a fair bit of business development the last 10 years in the IT industry, and look, I've done pretty well. Built some good relationships, had some good fun, but never really settled into that role as a salesman. So, I mean, it's something that never really sat comfortably with me. But when I did it, the money was good. Financial security was there, and so I've been thankful to it, but never really been that comfortable. And I think sort of fast forward to this year, I had a pretty severe knee operation at the start of the year based on old injuries, but finally got it cleaned up. And then what that did, that exacerbated a back issue. So my first quarter of the year was on my back and extreme pain. Very hard to do your job from there. So therefore, it was going to be a physically tough year. And then COVID hit. And then for a business developer, it's hard to get out there. It's hard to do what you do best, which for me was press the flesh, hang out with people and build relationships. So this year was pretty tough. It's kind of a perfect storm for me and my personality profile. So it just got to mid-year for me, and I was just really struggling. I was just getting further and further into a hole that I couldn't really see sort of how to get out of it. For me, the fog was descending, and just weeks were getting difficult, and I just felt like I was just starting to become someone I didn't like, and that was from a parent perspective, from a husband perspective, from an employee. I wasn't performing for my manager. He's an old mate of mine, known him for a long time, and I just wasn't giving him what he should expect from me, and so I knew how to get out of it. I just could not build the motivation, and it was just getting, I use the word dark. It was just getting, for me, it was just getting dark. And I'm a pretty positive person normally. And I was just struggling to the weeks, to build on with the weeks.
That's a lot to take in, mate. That's a lot to come to grips with, that you're becoming, and we talked about this the other day, to admit that you're becoming someone you don't want to become is a fucking scary proposition.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things it's not easy to do. And I think, look, there's a lot of people that are worse off than me in the world, and there's lots of great, very, very compelling reasons for that. But from where I was built up over time in terms of my profession, and I never really felt settled in where I was. And then it just declined even further. And I was grumpy, at home with my beautiful wife and my lovely kids, and we were angry a lot, and work was coming to, and I just was getting to the stage where something had to give, quite frankly. And I didn't know what that was going to be, but I just knew it couldn't be the family, because that's not an option. So for me, the only thing that I had control over myself was work.
Let's go back a step. As I said, we've only known each other for about 18 months, I think it is.
Yep.
That's about it. And as I said, something that has always drawn me to you, and the reason we hit it off, is that your number one thing is to help other people and teach and coach, and that's because that's what you're really good at. So you're a real people person, and anyone who's watching tonight, and plenty of mates of yours who are, would agree to that. Okay, that's what you do. That's Andy's sweet spot. So I can imagine when you're debilitated with your knee and your back, and you're getting down, and COVID hits, and you can't, as you said, press the flesh. Yeah. That's your wheelhouse, mate. That's what you do. That's what you're good at. Yeah. And we all know that doing Zooms is nowhere near as good as sitting there having coffee or a meal or whatever. So how much did COVID play in all this, do you think?
Oh, look, I think a significant role, because a lot of my role was actually traveling. So I spent last year, for example, 2019, I was kind of away 1 or 2 days a week for about 20 or 30 weeks. So that I was in Brisbane, I was in Sydney, a couple of international trips for work conferences. And so COVID hit, that all stopped. And so with that had to be a work from home all the time proposition. There was a window at the start of the year where we could actually go and visit a couple of local customers, which I did. on crutches because of my knee and my back. So that wasn't too compelling for the visits. But it just became, for me and my personality profile, became the perfect storm. And I need to be in front of people. I always believe that you're going to have a sales meeting, that 10 minutes before and the 10 minutes after is actually when you do the sale, because it's when you're real and you're, and to me, that was taken away. So it just made me start to really have a good think about what I was doing and how I was doing it and why I was doing it. And all that something had to give.
You said the other day, two words that you mentioned that really stuck in my mind is you felt as though you were a fraud. So you've been a salesman in the corporate world for, 25 years or so, and you felt like a fraud. It's a really interesting call for someone to make about themselves.
Yeah. And look, it's hard. I don't want to sort of press hard on it, because there are a lot of people out there that are in sales that do really well. It can be a great industry and a great role, and it's very lucrative, and it's a difficult role. I just found that I was never a salesman, and although I could sell, and I did sell, I sold in different ways. I was never going to be the top biller anywhere, but I'd always, I'd always sell, because I always built good relationships. And so for me, it was always, it started off being something I wanted to do before, while I was working out what to do when I grow up. I kept growing up, but I never worked out what to do. Still growing up, and
aren't we all?
Yeah, we're trying to anyway. I went into an MBA because I was not qualified. I started out life. I went to a primary teaching course and did a few years of that, and a 3-year course, and I did 3 years, but I still had 18 months to go, so I didn't really smash it too hard. And so I was never degree qualified. Went into recruitment, travelled a bit. So it was always really a stopgap, and I was offered amazing opportunities at the companies I ended up working at, and it did well for them. But I never felt that was me. I went in an MBA, as I said, and that was great. But I just ended up being the same guy with a certificate and a couple other bits of MBA wank words and other things to throw around. So which was an important step for me to take for validation, but it didn't answer the question. So I still went back to my sales job and kept selling, and that's all you can do. But there was always that feeling of something more for me. So I threw the word out there the day, fraud. I think a lot of people probably relate to that. Fraud's it's a strong word, but I think it's doing something that people think that's you, but it's actually not you. And I think that's kind of where I was at. Now,
for those who haven't watched this before, feel free at any stage to shoot us a question so we can ask Andy, because this is really important. There's plenty of guys out there, right? Plenty of guys who or are doing it now or have been through this within their life and gone down the road of shit. I'm just not enjoying this, and you have made that decision of putting all the chips in and going, you know what, I'm out. It's such a courageous thing to do, mate. You should be so proud of yourself. And I know those around you are really, really proud and inspired by what you've done. But there's a lot of self-awareness that has to go on throughout all that. How you talk about the fog, how dark did that fog get?
Look, I just struggled. I think get up on Monday morning. Sundays was probably my most hated day, because I knew that Monday was the next day, and I had to get up for work and do a job that I was just losing my grip on, as well as I'd done for the last 10 years. So it just became difficult to see where I was going. It became difficult to understand the reasons why. And as I said, I knew what needed to be done to get things back on track. I just didn't have the strength, the motivation to do it. And that's when I knew that fog got to a point where something needed to change. And I think it was at that point I did a lot of self-evaluation. I did a lot of reaching out to friends in the network that I trusted and relied upon for their opinions. And I did a lot of research. And as I started to do that, things started to sort of click and fall into place. And in fact, I did a life coaching certification 20 years ago, and for 19 and a half, almost 20 years, I didn't actually use it on myself. I finally did, stuff me, it worked. So it's just one of those things that it got dark. I mean, I think we talk about your rate your day out of 10s. I was having 2s and 3s, to be honest, fairly consistently, and that's not good enough. And I eventually then had to make a choice, and it's, you know, for me, it was fundamentally financial security or mental health. Now I say mental health, and that's a lot of people that are worse off than me. There's conditions out there that are medical, and, you know, I'm not going to say that I got to the worst place, but for me, it was just the worst place I'd been in, and it's something had to change, and you had to take control.
So you're a guy that spends, I'd imagine, most of your time between 7 and 10. You're pretty upbeat, glass half full, if not more, kind of guy, aren't you? Mm-hmm. So to sit there and go, you know, I'm having 2s and 3s constantly. What was the out of 10? What was the score when you were doing your sales and you would make a big deal? What was the score then? Did it ever get, when you were doing the sales, did it ever get to those 8s, 9s, and 10s, or was that just a 3 or a 4 or whatever?
I think you had like a COVID phase 2 spike there. When you do a big deal, you're up and about. But the reality is in sales that you're only as good as your last deal, and if once you've done it, off you go on to the next one. And for me, that's, yeah, that makes sense. It's all very logical. And you know, I was working with a great company and really supportive, and everyone was great, but it just wasn't lighting my fire. And again, I think sales in the past had never really lit my fire as much as maybe it lit others. But for me, it was great to get good wins. And look, we had some really big wins last year in the company, and we had some, you know, a good pipeline of activities this year. So it was there, but it just wasn't consistent enough. And so if I had a big win, the next day I'd be down again, and right, I've just got to get on with it. And you know, there's more to do. And it just didn't sit with me. That was right.
So 2 things I think obviously hit you pretty hard. The knee injury in the back, because you're a fit, you know, guy, and you like to be mobile. That obviously played a big part.
Yep. Yeah, big part. I got 3 little boys, and the reason I had the knee operation was so I could be up and about for my 3-year-old, and as well as kick the footy with the kids. And that was the only way. That it was quite a significant operation. I had to break my femur, so that's the biggest bone in your body, and realign it and all that kind of stuff. Put a few Bunnings bolts in the side and fix it up. So the whole purpose of that was to change the way my weight distribution over my knee, so that I could actually run and kick the footy and do all those things. So when the surgeon said to me it's going to be 12 to 16 weeks of rehabilitation, all I heard in my mind was, mate, I'll be right, 7 and I'll be up and about. Yeah. It was 12 to 18 or 20 weeks of rehabilitation. So he did all the right things, but I just didn't listen. And so for me, it was really important that, it was important I did listen, but I didn't. So it put me back a lot. I was not mobile. I could hardly walk. I just went in a 2-story house. I had to spend the first 6 weeks after the operation in the spare room at the front of the house downstairs. Couldn't go up the stairs. I mean, it's that when you got a little fella running around and other kids to control. My poor wife had to do it all. It was tough. And I think that was the start of the year. And then of course, Uncle COVID hit, and so many things got even worse. So for me, it was kind of a perfect storm. And
more importantly, we didn't get to play footy, mate.
Well, that's what this is all about, mate, isn't it? We you put a few hard
cuts of the crunch.
Well, look, it's a big fact. I mean, it is stuff us really. It's about the kids. The kids can't get out. We got 3 kids at home. 2 of them play footy. They can't leave the house at the moment, so all they do is punch on each other, and it's happening all over Melbourne. It's really tough. So whether it's footy, netball, cricket, well, whatever the sport is, soccer, kids need to get out and about because that's what we do, and they couldn't. So that all had a massive impact too.
Now, you said that you went back and did the MBA at 40. Did you think that was going to be the thing that went, okay, Andy, foot in the arse, let's go? And it just didn't, did it?
Oh, that was the answer for me. I was going to do the MBA. I was going to become an absolute rock star. I was going to become a genius and might even work for NASA. I mean, look, I went into this thing and I had no idea other than that I needed to get qualified in something. I felt like that for validation. Yeah. And I started the course, and look, I really enjoyed it. I was doing it as I was doing my other job, and so one night a week for 5 years. I was in the city at RMIT and studying a lot at night, and a lot of load on the wife, and her support was amazing through that whole phase. But you know, to me, I got at the end of it, and I did fairly well, better than I think better than I'd ever expected, and certainly better than my mum ever expected. But it just, and it was great. I'm glad I did it, but it didn't give me the answers. It didn't give me there was no shining light at the end with a handshake of here's a heap of money and a great job. It was still up to me to do something with it.
Yeah. Now, you touched on your dear dad who passed in 2007, and he had a huge impact on you, and he probably was the one that made you realise about your mental health, because he started a men's health group, many, many years ago, like before his time. That's amazing.
Well, I think either he did or someone introduced me to Steve Biddulph's book, Manhood, which I still rate as the best book I've read, and not because of the literary genius, but it was the content and the thought-provoking book. So I recommend anyone who hasn't read that to read it, and it's great for women to read as well. But it goes on to, he wrote Raising Boys and other books as well. So if you haven't read it, please read it. But my dad, my mum and dad, dad dragged mum up to the country. They bought a country estate and they're up there for 5 years. And dad set up a men's group for the local area. And I don't know all the details because I was based in Melbourne and doing my thing, but he spent a lot of time with the local community and the fathers, so the farmers and the local area of Castlemaine, and had a regular men's group. And I still hear people referring to that time and what he gave back to the community and how great it was.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, man, look, it's awesome. I think I've wanted to start a men's group for a number of years, but because work is very, very difficult, and then obviously get involved with the footy club and kids and family and so forth, it's very difficult. But I'm immensely proud of what he did. My uncle also had a men's group that he started as well many, many years ago. I didn't tell you that part, but so I think it's really more about, it's what you're doing, mate. It's what you guys 100 Words are doing, is just providing a platform for blokes to share. And the fact is, there's so many out there that are thinking the same, but not talking about it, or thinking that they're alone. They're not. I mean, so many of us are feeling the same way.
How important were your mates when you're having those really dark days, 2s, 3s, you're doing a lot of self-evaluation, looking in the mirror and going, okay, Andy, what are we going to do here? How important were your mates?
Look, mate, extremely important. But I think that when you get to those points in your life, my experience was there's very, very few you can actually talk to about it. Yep. Because when it gets to the depths of where you feel, and for me, 2 or 3 that's low enough. That's rock bottom for me. Yep. There's only really 1 or 2 people I could actually confide in and felt that I could genuinely talk to them about it. Because the reality is, a lot of what you do and a lot of who you are is often, bouncing off perception of the community. And, I was a footy committee member, so I had to be up and about as a salesman, had to be up and about. So that was my public profile. But the reality was there was a battle going on, and it was in my world, it's a battle that had to be played and run and won, and things had to change. So, but to be able to reach out even to a few of those mates and also spend a lot of time talking about it with my wife, that was really important.
How hard is it to put on a facade and make out that you're happy, Andy?
Oh, look, it's very difficult, but I've become really good at it, to be honest with you, mate. So one of the things I've perfected over the years is just to get on with it, be happy as you can. I lived most of my life sort of helping others, and I enjoy, the joy in other people's faces, the kids' faces when they're playing footy, or, I just like making people feel better. And for me, that if I just deflect it, and as long as they feel good, it's all good, away we go. So.
But I reckon that's the trap that a lot of guys fall into, right? So that they play that card. Yeah. You can only play that for so long, mate, and you are testament to that. So it gets to the point where you go, can't do it anymore. Tell me about that day where you go, no more.
Look, I think it comes down to your passions, because I've always heard of coaches bang on about, you got to follow your passion, do a job you love. And I've always believed that it's extremely small percentage of society actually finds that. And I think I never knew what I was passionate about. I didn't. I mean, I enjoyed the footy club stuff. I love helping the kids out and coaching, but how are you going to make money out of that? It's, I'm not an AFL coach. So it's what am I passionate about? And I found it really tough to make a change or do any change if I didn't really know what I was passionate about. And I think I had to try and find out. And so I read a couple of books and spoke to some very wise people that I knew in the industry that I hadn't spoken to for a long time. I purposely spoke to people I hadn't spoken to for a long time because I had to hear a different perspective and a different story. And things started to change. So I started to make lists and started to think, well, hang on, what am I passionate about? What are some things I love doing? What were the 3 biggest deals that I won as a salesman, and what did I bring to the table? And in each one of these instances, it was exactly the same. So I started to think, hang on, there's a trend here. And then I started to think, well, hang on, what other skills and talents have I got? And what else do I enjoy doing? And, in a great day at work, what's something that what makes it great? And I started to I've got hundreds of lists here that I've got to consolidate. But I think one of the key things I ended up doing was I sent an email to 15 people that were really close to knowing who I am, and I'd be authentic. And these are friends of mine, long-term friends, new friends, people at the footy club, various footy clubs, professional world, family. And I just said to them, it's a simple question. If I wasn't doing the job I'm doing today, in your opinion, what would I be good at?
Wow.
And I thought, stuff it. And I wrote the email. It was in my outbox. And I went, am I going to be this guy? And you know what I said? And I'd heard a little bit of Brene Brown who talks about this power and vulnerability. And I'm not afraid of being vulnerable at all. I said, stuff it. Just send it. And it's interesting that what I got back was horrifying in that it's so blatantly obvious that they all said psychology, counseling, consulting, coaching. Almost everyone said the same thing in the different words. One guy said I should be a bass guitarist, but I dismissed that pretty quickly. But they're all, and so all of that I had my validation, I had external. I just said, you know what, it's time.
Was that the one that got you over the line? That went, you know what, it is time.
Yeah, look, that was all. It all came together at the same time. So I was really thinking about this thing. Right, I can't let my company down any longer. And I think my boss will agree with this. I was pretty honest with him, and I'm just a nice guy. I can't, I don't want to bullshit anyone. And so I just got to the point where I said, look, to myself and to my wife, I just said, look, I just can't do this anymore. I can't just keep faking it. I need to do something about my own state of mind and my own comfort and happiness. Because if I don't want to wake up in 10 years' time and who knows what the situation landscape will be looking like then. And I couldn't imagine just doing this again and again. And many people said to me, oh, you can't leave without another job. I said, well, doing what? What am I going to do? Go to another job as a BDM and I'll come in and sell for you and then leave them in the lurch. I just couldn't do it. I've always treated my network with respect, and I've always, I've never burned bridges. It's just not worth it, and I couldn't do it.
How confronting is it when you go, I'm becoming someone I don't want to become? I think it's a really powerful thing we talked about the other day. And there's heaps of blokes that are watching this and will watch this that will go, I'm in the middle of that right now. I'm becoming a shit husband, a shit partner, a shit dad, and I don't want to do it anymore. And to grab all the chips and put them into mental health versus the corporate dollar is the most inspiring thing I've heard this year.
Yeah, look,
I genuinely mean that.
It was a massive thing, and I think it was a really big roller coaster. So it got pretty down, and then got to a point where I had to pull together a plan to get us out at work. And I went, I know what needs to be done, but I can't do it. Now's the time. So I did it. Fog lifted. My weight off my shoulders. It felt terrific for about half an hour until I had to then explain it to my beautiful wife again, and she didn't realize that it was happening so quick, and the roller coaster happened again, and absolutely understandably, and it was very difficult because she was stood earlier in the year and she had to take a role that paid less, and we've got bills to pay. We've rebuilt, not too long ago. we're not loaded here, and I didn't get a golden handshakes to lead this company. So there are some stressful times, and even still today, I'm not out of the woods. We've got some work to do, but it was just that really dark time that sort of meant that I pulled the pin and said, right, that's it, high, and then went down again and then we had to work through it. And to her credit, my wife has been magnificent through the whole process and has been really helpful.
She's an absolute star, your wife, and I think that were you fearful of that might not go to plan?
What plan? Right, now what? No,
it's a tough thing. It's a tough conversation to have, and I'd imagine people get stuck in a rut because they're shit scared to make that call and to have that conversation.
Yeah, so I think I didn't wake up one morning and said that's it and I'm out, and then go, oh, now what? So I got to the point where I thought, you know what? I'm actually passionate about something. It's coaching. It's actually helping people. I'm actually passionate. And then I started making more lists about, what kind of coaching do I want to do? And then I got to career coaching. I said, that's it. And then there's a couple of MBA templates that, enter the wank words, but there's a couple of templates that I discovered in the MBA that just resonated with me. I went, shh. And I've spoken to guys over the years with their small businesses and sort of ran the template over their business, and they've gone, man, that's awesome. You should do. So I said, that's it. I just want to, because I've always, no matter what it is, I always get greatest enjoyment out of seeing other people win. And if I can help others win, that's my biggest high. And it's just the way I'm built. I don't know why, but that's what it is. So I really enjoy helping others win. So I got to that point where, that's where my excitement came from. So I had that in my kit bag, and I knew it was there in front of me. And I said, right, that's it. I can't fake this anymore. I've finally found my passion. I've just got to do it. And I've got to ask for, unfortunately, in this circumstance, I've got to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Didn't consciously think about it like that, but I said, no, I've just got to go ahead. And I did. And I'm really glad I did. I've never been happier in where I am today. It's funny when you start a business. I've launched it 2 days ago, so last Friday. We're nowhere near getting anywhere, right? I mean, no one's paid me for anything, but I've actually never been happier doing in the work environment, which is very exciting.
I said to you the other day when we spoke, and I hadn't seen you. Obviously can't see you face to face, and we got on Zoom. And I said to you, one of the first things I said is, I haven't seen you look this happy for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think that because that's genuinely who I am. I think I could put it on, and I do a bit of hosting of the footy club and other bits and pieces. And you've just got to be up and about, regardless of how you feel. When you're selling, you're on stage. You've got to do it. But for me, it's genuinely finally at 49 and a lot. So I'm not far off the 50. I'm finally starting to grow up. I think I know what I want to do when I grow up, and it's exciting. So I just had to sort of remove the obstacles and get on with it. And there was going to be some rough days, and there still will be. But even the conversations I've had over the past couple of weeks, I've put a post on LinkedIn. I've had so many people reach out and had lots of conversations, and it's been really exciting already.
We talked about that yesterday, and you put a post out. You got something like 40,000 views, and tell us a story about the guy from Mexico who you reached out to and you helped out.
Yeah, well, it's funny in a way, but I put up what do you call a flare post, basically saying, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I've got a couple of ideas, but let us know if you need some help. Because everyone needs it from time to time. This time it's you. It could be me next time. That kind of stuff. So I got a lot. Yeah, it's gone around the world. 40,000 hits, which is terrific. But one of them was an old client of mine from 3 jobs ago, and he works for a company that's based in Australia and in Mexico. And so he commented on a post that one of his Mexican or Spanish-based friends had posted about can't find a job. Everyone got to give me a hand. Yeah. And so I've thrown a post up. So I've answered him saying, yeah, no worries, mate. I'll come and, buzz me later and we'll have a chat. Then I found out he's in Mexico and he speaks Spanish.
Is he Spanish?
Yeah, no. Um,
Enchilada.
yeah, Corona is probably the closest I get to it. So he's basically. I've actually pressed. I pressed translation on his post. So translated as, I need a job. Can't find a job. Anyone help me? So I put it in English, and then I realised, oh crap, he's in Mexico. So I knew it's overnight. So I thought, well, I'll change it to, my Spanish is ordinary. Let me know if you need a hand. And he pinged me back and said, look, I'd love to get some advice or guidance. And really, I just pinged him a few questions. And the questions I've already spoken about, I just said, think about a great day at work. What did you bring to the table? Why was it great? Make a list of three or four of the jobs that you really, really want to do, regardless of what you're qualified to do. What do you really want? And so I gave him a few things to think about. And then he I think it was only literally on the weekend, he pinged me back and said, look, I haven't responded. I'm sorry about that, but I just want to let you know that I did what you said. I've now got a new job, and I just get it to you. I'm thinking, that's fantastic. So
you send him an invoice?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to work out how to put my invoice in Spanish so I can send it off there. But no, look,
you might suddenly get a goat rock up at the house. He might pay you in a goat, mate.
Mate, I'll just pay me in Coronas and tacos. That's mate, that'll do me. I've been listening to a fair bit of podcasts, and I just reckon I'm just going to give value. I just want to give as much as I can, because it invariably comes back. So nothing makes me more happier than impacting someone, one in another country, another language, never met, spoken to, had an impact. It's just, it makes me feel good.
A couple of questions here from Andrew. Did you seek professional help?
So over the years, I have done some counselling, had some psychology appointments and counselling. And I think they got me through some difficult times, but I never really was able to fully open up and be authentic and therefore get to the bottom of what it really was. The problems. One of them, like in the early 2000s, helped me with a relationship challenge. And then that was great because I got onto a different path, and then I met my lovely wife, and that did help with that. But so more recently, no, I hadn't done that. I'd spoken to a number of people who are in coaching and counselling, but for friends. I kind of had in my mind the type of change that needed to happen. I needed to do something different. And so I'd made the decision myself to grapple with it and take control and change myself in this instance. So no, I didn't go and see anyone specific. I did go to my GP. I got 2 referrals, one last year and one this year, but never did it.
Oh, really? Why was that?
No, I didn't. And it's interesting because I think, and I really just started thinking about it now, because it was part of my brand. I just wasn't ready to be vulnerable to that level. And I didn't really know what this year was. I didn't really know where this year was going. And I look back now and it's funny because over the last 2 weeks, I've advised people to go and do that. Because I think that GP, you can get 20 free psychology visits now. You go to your GP, get a referral. Yep. So I've said to a number of people over the last 2 weeks that have called me and reaching out and need some help. But I've said to them, just go and just do it. Nothing, there's no harm can be done. That's what they're there for. Do it.
Just on that, you can go and get a mental health plan. I went and got my own mental health plan done about 10 or 12 weeks ago. Went to our psychologist that's on board here at 100 Words Mate to Make. It's free, okay? It took me about 7 minutes. Non-invasive.
Yeah.
And I myself have started seeing the psychologist, Lawrence, and it's amazing. Like at the moment, the government, it was 10 visits per person for the year. Now it's 20. Yeah. If you started seeing a psychologist or called a mental health coach, I don't care what you call it, okay? If calling it a mental health coach takes the stigma out of it, that's fine. Ash Barty's got a mental health coach. Roger Federer's got a mental health coach. Tiger Woods got a mental health coach. Good enough for them. Probably good enough for Craig Turton and anyone else listening. So, point being, you can go and see someone for free through Lawrence, our psychologist, every week for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
If you think you're struggling or you may need someone to talk to, it's a no-brainer. Trust me, having gone, I'm a different unit. I've learned some skills that I didn't have. And I couldn't be happier. I think it's a really powerful message to do, and I think it should be done. It's not hard. It's not invasive at all.
Yep.
Another one here, mate. Thank you for being so open and honest. It's refreshing. Vulnerability has such power. How, by showing vulnerability like you have, is that one of your biggest achievements over the last couple of months?
Oh, I think it is. I mean, look, I've always had this. I've felt I've had this stigma of an account executive, and there's a lot of those out there that are robust and unbreakable, and it was pretty difficult for me to let go of that. But then I realised, look, you know what, stuff it. I think life is too important. I'd love to say I'm having a midlife crisis, but that'd mean I'm going to live to 100. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. So I don't have a lot of time left in my full-time working life, and 10 or 15 years, and it was slipping away. I just needed to get on with it.
Just here, we've had just got a question through from one of the people earlier on when we did the poll who had it too. I'm not going to mention name, but mate, I will call you after the show. Okay, your questions just come up, and I will call you after the show. I just wanted to mention that so that person knew. Mate, vulnerability is the key to this. And I reckon you will have empowered plenty of men, because there's plenty of men walking around in the same shoes you were. And it takes more power and more courage to do something than it does to do nothing, because the fog that you talked about and the ability to just, I think guys have become really, really good at faking it, like fake it until you make it. Yeah. And that's got a really, really short lifespan. I think you'd agree that
it has.
2s and 3s aren't the way to go.
No, look, it's not. And I think, but you've always got options. And I think it's hard when you get to the depths of where you're at. You've always got options. There's always someone you can call. As I said, it's a GP, the mental health plan, you get onto it. It's free. But there's always people you can call. So I guess what I've done is I've launched a business called Epic Step. And the purpose of that is to talk to people about those people who are in a rut. So I'm doing career coaching, small business coaching. I'm actually going to be starting a podcast, which is terrifying but exciting.
That's good fun, mate. Trust me.
Yeah, well,
if I can do it, you can do it. Jesus.
Yeah, you set the bar pretty low, mate. Thanks, buddy. But I think importantly, it's just one of those things that I think if I can talk to people, very similar to what's happening now, talk to people who made a change, general punters like maybe Greg Hall last week and Nick Holm the week before. I mean, you've had some high flyers. I'm just a punter from the burbs, but I think there's so many of me out there that this is why I want to start a business and just talk to people about their plights, find out where they're at, demonstrate the value that they do have already, and that everyone's got a network. Respect the network. That your network is your net worth. So really try and get some value out of that, and you can make some change. Change happens if you make it. And so this is why I'm so for the listeners here tonight, mate. I thought so for my business, I'm offering a 30-minute free consultation to anyone, because that's the right thing to do, to find out where they're at, to understand if
fantastic. Thank you, mate.
If they're on the same page as me, and that's what I do for my general business. But I'm so passionate about this cause and what you guys are doing, and there's going to be a lot of guys out there, hopefully, who just want to get off their chest and have a chat. So for those listening, for the 100 words, mate to mate, I'm actually going to increase that to 60 minutes. So there's a free consultation for 60 minutes. You go to www.epicstep.com.au and you can contact me. And I think Matt's going to send around the link.
Matt's put it up on the screen here. That's fantastic.
All it is a conversation. It's just really, where are you at? What are you finding difficult? Let's have a discussion about your options. And it may be that your option is to continue what you're doing, but change other things in your life, and that's okay too. So I just wanted to get the message out to as many blokes, as many people as possible, and enjoy what I do and make a difference to some lives if I can.
And I'd imagine you'll start every conversation with "How's your day?" out of 10.
Absolutely, mate. And I've done a lot. I've done a lot recently. I need to change it because you got to trademark that. So I need to change the wording and make it 11 or 9 or whatever it is. But
you can use it, mate. I'll give you permission to use it.
Thank you,
mate. This question here is the key to tonight. From Jared. Thanks for opening up, Andy. You're a very positive person, and I would never have guessed you suffered. It helps to know that everyone goes through tough times. That, my friend, is the whole reason you're on here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've looked at and that's really important. I think we've all got our personas, we've all got our public perceptions. I think you see often that those that perform are often the ones that have got other sides, the shadows that are a bit darker. Look, again, I won't say that there are people that are in worse situations than I am, and my heart goes out to them. And if I can help them in any way, I can. But for me, I just had enough. It was just time. It was time. So in a really crazy way, I almost thank the knee operation, the bad back, and COVID for actually pushing me to the edge that I needed to be pushed to. And I got to the edge and I said, right, something has to change. And I did. So in a weird way, as I think I mentioned the other day to you, I feel like I'm a really selfless person, but ultimately I had to flip to being selfish to then make the change. And that's where I am today. So yeah, so far so good.
Big message that we roll with, mate, is you've got to help yourself before you can help others. No different than when you're in a plane, mate, and the oxygen drops. You put it on yourself first, and you can help the family.
Yeah, absolutely. And
really
that's an
important message. And someone like yourself, mate, to come out and because people see you as that bubbly guy. For you to come out and be open and honest and vulnerable is a really, really powerful message. I said to you the other day, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, how much you earn, or doesn't matter, right? Men's mental health and showing vulnerability is a really, really powerful thing. And the more men do it, and the more men like yourself who come on to shows like this and show they're vulnerable, just gives other people the power to do exactly the same thing. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy,
mate.
On behalf of myself personally, mate, and Waltzy, the producer, and all the boys at 100 Words Mate to Mate, thank you so much for your time tonight. Really, really love talking to you. Awesome message, mate. To put your mental health above the almighty dollar is a really, really tough thing to do. And I'd imagine, and going by the questions and the people who've dialed in at my end, you've inspired a lot of people, and you've inspired me, mate. So thank you very much. I might take you up on one of those 60-minute sessions myself, mate.
Well, buddy, you're welcome.
Mate, thank you. Great offer that Andy's put together to us tonight. So, mate, thank you so much. I will give you a call tomorrow. You're a great man. Thank you very much for your time.
Mate. Thanks, sir. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Aussie. Hey, that's a huge offer that he's put together there. Give him a call. Trust me, he's got some words of wisdom there, and you'll definitely get something out of that. As I do every week, huge thanks to the sponsors, Shelley Wood from Splice Communications. If you need anything to do with communications in your business, there's only one person to ring, and that is Shelley Wood from Splice Communications. She's an absolute star. If you're looking at remortgaging your house, your car, hey, there's some ripping rates going on at the moment. Call Atlas Brokers. Speak to Matt Atkin. Tell him Turt's told to ring. He will look after you. I guarantee he does a hell of a lot of work for us, and we are forever grateful to him. And if you want to listen to the only tennis show in this country, go to SEN and Google the first serve. Speak to a man called Brett Phelps. He does a hell of a lot for us at 100 Words Mate to Mate. He does a hell of a lot for the tennis community. A quick question has just come through at the end here. No, it just says, well done, guys. That was awesome. So, on behalf of me, Walter, who's behind the camera here, doing a great job as he does every week, myself, the rest of the board at 100 Words Mate to Mate, we hope your week is at least an 8 or a 9 or even a 10 out of 10. Those who at the start of the show were a 2 or 3, send me a message. One already has. I will speak to you in the next couple of minutes. Guys, take care of yourself, and we'll see you next week. Take care.